The wild moments and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of the game. And away we go on episode 13 of Minor League Weekly, streaming live on the Minor League Minute YouTube channel, as well as on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts by the next morning. My name is Cory Sparks. I'm joined by Jacob Smedley. Jacob, before I dive into something that is not on our outline, that just happened like a month ago, that I have to get off my chest, and you have the full right to judge me. Before I dive into that, how are you doing?
Doing good. Again, as we week by week we inch closer to the start of another baseball season. I guess personally, I mentioned how's it going in Pennsylvania? Well, how's it going? We're gonna have 70-degree weather starting on Sunday in the beginning of March. Yeah, winter might be on the back nine here as we get towards the second week. So looking forward to that. There is still like rain, a little wintry mixes in the forecast this week, but 70 degrees, that is screaming spring and summer if I've ever seen it before.
Didn't you guys just get like a foot of snow up there? Like last week?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, a week ago today, in fact. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as you know, I'm moving out to Reading to work with the AA affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies. And as soon as I heard that you guys were getting all the snow, like, oh, great. I get to make the 11-and-a-half-hour drive over there and run into that. If that's in the rear view, I have no complaints. And I'm glad you brought up the weather, because that's going to segue into a little story time here as we kick things off. If you have any minor league baseball questions, inquiries, drop them in our live chat on YouTube or on any of our social media channels, which are linked below. We also have a special announcement after our riser segment. But first, you brought up the weather. It is also getting nicer here in Wisconsin. It was a high of like 43 today, which I would consider good enough to throw on, a quarter zip and go out for a jog. So trying to do a little bit more of that. New year, new me. And kind of unironically, whenever it gets warmer out, I start like getting active again. I'm done hibernating. But I go downstairs. I'm on the second level of my apartment. And I walk out the front door. And I'm like, all right, time to start running. Threw the music on, took my first step, looked down, and I'm wearing jeans. I was like, okay, do I go upstairs, change, probably takes like 2 or 3 minutes, or I'm only doing a mile, just get it over with. And I ran the mile in jeans. Am I a psychopath? Because I got some looks from nearby neighbors who decided to shoot very judgmental glares my way and go, what? Like usually I'll do the little wave, the Midwestern, how's it going? And I got stares. Your thoughts, sir?
Oh man! For those watching, I asked Cory was really getting me hyped up for this before the show. I asked, is it worse than pineapple on pizza? That just the baseline here. Yes, yes. Come on. I mean, so okay. Now I guess I have a follow up to that. Do you have like leg burns here? Is that after running in jeans? Are your legs red at all?
It was awful.
Like that?
Yeah. So the first quarter mile, I'm like, we're fine. The jeans I had on, I didn't have a belt on, and they were like just loose enough to have a little bit of space. So it wasn't like I was wearing skinny jeans or anything. It's the kind of athletic-ish fit. Very much still denim. So a quarter mile in, I'm like, whatever. I hit the half-mile mark. And I start getting like chafing around the knees. The zipper doesn't feel great. My ankles are like, what's going on? And so after like however long it takes me to run a quarter mile, like 2-ish minutes, I very quickly realized why people don't do this. At first I was like, oh, it probably just looks stupid. No, awful experience. Will not do again. Awful.
Oh man, yeah. If I were you, look down. I'm saying, all right, this run has got to wait another 10 minutes while I put on some shorts or some sweatpants. Yeah, I mean, at least okay. Levi, Wrangler, give this man a call, maybe a sponsorship. You can do these jeans and anything. You can go on a mile run for God's sakes. I mean, the durability. I mean, there you go. There we go, Coy.
Got a little endorsement coming. Speaking of that, we do have an announcement that we're going to make in about 15, 20 minutes here with a new partner of ours who we are a huge fan of, a brand that has a product that we think a lot of you are going to enjoy, especially if you follow baseball and softball and or play it or follow it very closely. There's a guy on my TikTok page, I guess before we move on, he runs marathons in jeans. He's ripped. I look nothing like him. And so I'm like, oh, if he could do 26 of these, I could do one. No, I was tapped out so quickly. I did the job, but yeah, we got like little red marks all over the place. If I really went like 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, which I don't even think I could do right now, that would have done irreparable damage somewhere. So yeah, won't do again. You said that's worse than pineapple on pizza, or better, or not as bad?
I don't know. I mean, not as bad. I think after thinking it over, honest mistake. Some people put pineapple on pizza up with, war crime kind of things. I wouldn't say it's that bad. I'm thinking too, again, not to go down a tangent. We got some big stuff to talk about here, but what about jorts? Do you think it would have been better or worse with jorts? Because you still got some legs out. It's like shorts, but it's jorts.
I think it's more bearable because most of the discomfort was like around
Yeah.
my knees for whatever reason. Like that's just how the jeans fit, I guess.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have some uncomfortable situations going on, but I feel like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
jorts is like 5.5 out of 10 bad. What I just did, that is like a borderline arrestable offense. I put a poll out on my Twitter and said like, is this wrong? Is this fair or foul? Which we do have a segment of that coming up in a little bit before we preview the show. And I think it was like 75% said that is a bad idea, my friend. So, yeah, there's story time. We'll try and mix those in from time to time. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I figured I'd get your take on it. Appreciate you entertaining it.
Of course, of course. Happy to help. Well, let's dive in. We've got some headlines, some Rookie of the Year picks. We might be on some other side of the aisle here on a few different things, but first, got to talk about Zach Veen, Corey, the ninth overall pick in the 2020 draft. Just what a story! I think just both of us to kind of think about his journey, his transformation from sobriety, coming back, really the past really 3 or 4 years has been dealing it ever since he was drafted. There was a wonderful kind of snippet here from a Yahoo Sports article where Veen admitted he was smoking weed every day. If he couldn't find weed, he was drinking alcohol every day. He said ever since he got home in 2021, so essentially for 3 or 4 years, it was a consecutive streak of not being sober and being able to cut that out of his lifestyle, replace it with protein, and also really the connection with his faith as well has been huge. So he put on 40 pounds of muscle. And he's added one of his most recent walk-offs. He's had two now in spring training last season, 118 batting average, 4 hits, a homer, 2 RBIs, just two absolute bombs here in the spring. So just an amazing story, and goes to show, and what we all love about sports is about second chances, about using the longevity of sport, and about these teams giving chances to use that to harness your potential and really take a low moment where a guy you don't know if he's going to make it, live up to that, his dream, most importantly, put aside all of the hype, all of the talent, of course, that people view him for, but just his personal growth as an individual through this. And this is a guy that the Rockies could really use, and a guy that really could help a turnaround through this youth that we talked about in the farm feature, that it's not very plentiful in Colorado with their farms, so he can be that guy and that youthful spark to that squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we just get to sit back and watch, right? And great job providing context there, because what we've been hearing about Zach Veen is you're just seeing the headlines everywhere. Put on 42 pounds, looks like a completely different individual. They do the side by side. it's a healthy weight gain. It is not like he just, ran over to the nearest gas station and knocked out like 60 donuts a day for the next few weeks. Like he's replacing certain habits with protein shakes instead and really upping his intake in that category. And, this is someone who just upped their body weight by 20%. Typically, when we're talking about a weight gain of that significance, it's over a handful of years because you get a prospect. Some of the international signees are signed when they're like 16 years old. And by the time they're 22, maybe instead of being 5'10", 150, they're 5'10", 200. But that's over a long period of time. This wasn't as prolonged of a period of time. Good for him. To your point, Jacob, I think sometimes the human element gets lost in minor league baseball coverage. It's his hit tool's ridiculous. Hopefully he can live up to it. Or I'm noticing his exit velocity's down a little bit. Is he borderline bust territory? At the end of the day, these are human beings who are trying to evolve and improve themselves. And he was going down a road that other professional athletes have gone down and have not found their way out of yet. So very huge shout out to him. As for the Rockies, I'm a little higher on their pipeline than I was at the beginning of the offseason. Now that we're seeing some of this talent come to fruition in spring training, you have Charlie Condon hitting some of the hardest balls of spring training. You have Zach Veen just recently cracking into the majors and going under this body transformation. And I haven't even mentioned Ethan Holiday, who they got at 4, and I would argue fell to 4. We'll see how that comment ages in their pipeline too. So I wasn't as high on this new crop of Rockies a few months ago. Do I think they're a top-tier farm system? No. But Condon, the newly reinvented Veen, and Holiday, those are mashers, and they all play for the same team. So seeing those three get called up over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 years, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think they're going to turn around and win 90 games this year, but those three could be a reason that in 2029, we're talking about the Rockies back in the postseason picture.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you talk about again Veen, those home runs that mentioned earlier. I mean, imagine that at Coors Field too. I mean, what he's putting together at a spring training facility, and then he's getting to do it at Coors where the ball flies. I mean, we might see stuff out to the fountain there, out to the center field, boom, up to the second, third deck where Carlos Gonzalez used to make his living there as well. So yeah, excited for these young hitters. Pitchers, as you've discussed in your farm feature, Cory, might be a different story, but these young hitters are gonna put the ball in play, put some runs on the board.
Yeah, the environment's going to play to him, right? So that's our first headline is Zach Veen undergoes a pretty cool transformation, and it's turning into a nice human story in general. Now we go on to some big names as well in terms of Rookie of the Year picks. We'll go American League and National League. Then we'll go to risers, then fallers, a new segment called Fair or Foul, where my jogging and jeans story probably belonged, but I couldn't hold the story any longer. And then we get into real debate time as well with Roch Cholowsky or Justin LeBron. This is an unfair question, but who do you build your franchise around? Jacob and I will dive into that towards the end of the show. For Rookie of the Year picks, I'll start us off with the American League, and we can just alternate from there. I'm not going the low-hanging fruit, which is, of course, Kevin McConaughey, who very well could win the award, very well could contend for a batting title as soon as he makes his debut. That's the type of skill set we're talking about. I'm not going with him. I'm going to go with Carter Jensen, Kansas City Royals prospect, debuted last year, had a cup of coffee, a little bit more, 60 at-bats, registered a 300 batting average. He's the hometown kid and a former third-round pick. And I'll dive back in, right? 300 batting average in his first 60 major league at-bats, made for a stingy at-bat. And if you look up his baseball savant profile, there's going to be dashes across it because they're not qualified statistics. The sample size isn't big enough. But he's in the top 10% with his sample size in hard hit rate, in exit velocity, in barrel percentage, in sweet spots percentage. Any advanced analytic that implies you are making hard contact with the baseball and often, He's up there. And what I really liked, again, very small sample size, is his walk rate was well above league average as well. A lot of times, these guys that are jumping up from a decent stint in double A or in triple A, the number one thing that they struggle with going into the big leagues is pitch identification. And at least in the sliver that we saw from Carter Jensen last year, he did not have an issue with that. The other thing I'll add with my AL Rookie of the Year candidate and ultimate pick for 2026, there is a path for him. Salvador Perez's contract ends in a couple of years. He is already 35 years old. And even if they don't platoon him and Jensen together, you have the universal DH that's been in effect in the American League anyway. You can slide him over to first once in a while and play around with that concept too. They are going to find a way to use Carter Jensen's bat because they need to. They need to build around Bobby Witt Jr. and help out that pitching staff with a little bit of run support. So I'm going Carter Jensen. He's around the top 5 in a lot of projected polls at this point, but he's not the number 1. He's my number 1 for that reason.
Yeah, I think that that's a great pick, Corey. I really like that, and also in that Royals lineup, where a trait that a guy that I'll get into in just a second, which I think is huge, especially when guys are coming up. They're not the focal point on the scouting report. They're not batting third. They're not batting fourth. You get to slot them in lower in the lineup. Of course, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to get a lot of attention. Vinny Pasquantino is going to get a lot of attention. Still Salvi Perez, Jack Caglione as well, another highly touted young player, is going to get some attention. So that allows a guy like, I completely forgot about Michael Garcia, who just signed that big contract with the Royals. So you've got all these guys ahead of him in that lineup that the pitcher is going to be like, oh gosh, this is the guy I have to face. So he gets more opportunities, I think, that I think will benefit him. Of course, that comes with playing time, like you said, catcher, first base, DH. Where is he going to mix in? That squad is a lot of questions, a lot of good young players with the mix of the veterans. But I'm all for it, and my pick is along the similar lines. Corey, do we have backstops winning the AL Rookie of the Year here? I'm going to go with Samuel Basallo of the Baltimore Orioles. So a catcher, another catcher, where the question is, where is he going to play? I think getting to talk with Michael Marcantonini, again, check that interview out if you have not yet. A great breakdown of the Orioles farm system, the guys that are in the big leagues, the process of this organization. I mean, he told me about Basallo getting to see, him up close and personal, and really nothing overpowered him. He did have a few moments where, as every hitter does, you get fooled on a breaking pitch, you get fooled on a high fastball, but he just didn't look overpowered at all in the minor leagues and had that Jordan Alvarez type hit tool that Michael mentioned that just makes you dream as Orioles fans what this guy can do, not only this coming year, but in the future. Another question is going to be where he plays. That's a big question, not only for him, but the Orioles with Rutschman, Basallo, and Pete Alonso. My best alignment, at least to start, Rutschman catches, Basallo, let him really focus on hitting at the DH spot, Alonso at first, and have kind of Ryan Mountcastle as a rotating bench mat, which is really good to have. Look at Salvador Perez, who you just mentioned, Corey, with the Royals. I think a different comparison, but a guy, a catcher that can mash the baseball. First year for Salvi was 39 games, Basallo 31, both late season call ups in those years. Salvador Perez, 3 home runs, 21 RBIs in those games. Basallo, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs. Average OBP, a different story. Salvi was getting on base more, line getting singles, doubles. But I think just competing off of Jensen and that idea, the pressure is off of Basallo. You've got Henderson, you've got Alonso, Jordan Westberg is going to come back at some point. Jackson Holiday will be back. So you've got other guys, as mentioned, Rutschman, who I think is going to have a bounce back year. to his standards. So you've got other guys in that lineup, the veterans, Tyler O'Neill, that he can, and Michael talked about it as well, that he can kind of, the pressure is off. And my prediction, I'll throw in a prediction. I think 255, 30 home runs, 82 RBIs, 460 slugging. I know that is a lot, but I think it's possible for Basayo. Again, lower stakes, low in the lineup. DH maybe most days, focus on hitting and adjusting to the major league pitching.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. And unlike Adley Rutschman at this point, Samuel Basayo knows he's going to be an Oriole for a handful of years. They already threw him the extension. They put him on the Corbin Carroll or Jackson Churio deal. Said, here you go, man. Like, we're going to lock you down for almost a decade. We're going to buy in at under a $10 million AAV, like a lot of these teams do, and they believe in their prospect, and they believe Ronald Acuna, another one, that it's going to pay off in the long run. And so we know he is a part of their future plans. They go out and get Alonso. Now you have Mountcastle still there. So there's a revolving door among a couple of different positions in catcher, first base, and you can only have one DH, where someone's going to be left out. It's not going to be the guy who just inked an extension a handful of months ago. So to your point of not having pressure on him, he doesn't have pressure on them because there's a handful of really strong bats in the Orioles lineup. And he doesn't have pressure on him because he knows that the Orioles are financially tied to him per their choice for the next handful of years. The intangibles are there, and Michael really dove into just his prowess and how cunning he is and how he seems comfortable in almost every situation, and just the little nuances from what he does in batting practice to how he shows up on a day-to-day basis has that aura of a big leaguer amongst other minor leaguers, and now he's at that stage. So great pick there. I could see either of those guys, kind of similar profile, mashers at the backstop level, getting there. All right, NL Rookie of the Year. I am going to be boring because I don't know if there's a world where if this guy plays enough games, which he should, he doesn't get it. That's Connor Griffin in Pittsburgh. Possibly the best prospect we've seen since, it's not going that far back, Paul Skeens. Like, the level of hype he is getting and the level of hype that like Roch Cholowsky and Justin Lebron are getting, like Connor Griffin's had a magnifying glass on him for the better part of the last 6 months. The whole offseason, it's here's our consensus number one prospect. What is he going to do under the big lights after he had a remarkable first year in pro ball? Look, as soon as this guy gets called up. It may be in April for all we know. I think this award is his to lose. He had over 60 stolen bases last year. He had over 20 home runs last year. He had over 90 runs batted in. Every single tool is graded at above average. And overall, he is supposed to be a 5-tool prospect marinating into a big leaguer in front of our very eyes. He's 19 years old. And if he were to make the opening day roster, he'd be the first person to do that as a teenager since Ken Griffey Jr. The fact we are even considering that possibility, I think, entertains just how good Connor Griffin is. It's someone who embraces being a spectacle, does not shrivel under the limelight, and I think can be a leading force in the Pirates' turnaround. That's the other thing. This offense is coming from rock bottom. If they can just be average because of the free agents they brought in and calling up someone like Connor Griffin, people are going to look at baseball's number one prospect and go, he's why they won 85 games this year. He's why they're scoring almost 5 runs a game this year. All attainable goals, I think, with the roster they have. I'll sneak a second one in there. More of a dark horse. Justin Crawford, Philly, game-wrecking speed, remarkable glove in the outfield, really rangy, really savvy. Also one of those guys who I think has been playing like a veteran out there for a while. Maybe it's because he has baseball in his lineage. Maybe it's because he's been doing this at a high level for quite a bit and has also had the spotlight on him. But if you had to ask me, dark horse, not allowed to pick Griffin, I'm keeping an eye on Justin Crawford here too. He's had a nice spring.
Yeah, I fully agree with that with Connor Griffin, what he can bring to the table. And yeah, you mentioned that Pirates team, that injection of life, I think for the Pirates specifically, haven't seen it since Andrew McCutchen when he was brought up, that electricity that he brought to the table. Of course, we're talking about an MVP there in Kutch, but when you can add that to that lineup of veterans that they're building in Pittsburgh, I'm all for that. For my pick, love the pick for Crawford as well. I think that's something that you can already see with the interviews, what you bring up about a guy who has been there, who's been the whole thing with those legacy. And I think why, Ethan Holiday and Jackson Holiday have had their success so far as well is they grew up in an MLB clubhouse. They're not kind of necessarily spooked by, oh, okay, Bryce Harper's over there in the corner, or Trey Turner's over there, Zach Wheeler in terms of Crawford's case, or with Jackson Holiday now, Pete Alonso. They're not spooked by that because they have been in big league clubhouses through their family and through their dads who have played at the highest level. So that's a positive that I think Crawford is going to use, especially for this team that has big aspirations. My pick, NL Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with JJ Weatherholt, a guy we've mentioned a few different times on this show and is lined up. Of course, the trade with Brendan Donovan has really lined him up, squared him up to be the second baseman of the future here with the Cardinals, is quickly becoming the next cornerstone of this franchise. His hit tool is fantastic, gets on base at a high level, going to be that everyday second baseman. I think when we talk about Rookie of the Year, of course, it's not the NBA 65 game rule over here, but you look at bats, you look at consistency. You look at guys getting the opportunity to play every day, and the Cardinals have that with the longevity, the numbers, the amount of times he's going to play this season. So I'm thinking around that 300 average for him. And while Weatherholt and the Cardinals, that Central Division, the Reds, the Cubs, the Brewers, Pirates, if Griffin gets brought up, could be an exciting watch battling for that division crown. I think he is going to be consistent run producer, run scorer at the top of the lineup to keep an eye on. And I think that's what wins them the award. Another guy, of course, that's also at the top of the odds, going a little chalk here in the NL. I'm going to go with Nolan McLean, the New York Mets. I think definitely a shout out because he is a guy really show-stopping stuff. And at the end of this past year with the Mets, they brought in Freddie Peralta, can take some of the load off of the second year, first full year in Major League Baseball. That slider, sweeper, whatever it is, from another planet pitch that he throws is going to make a lot of hitters look very silly again this year. I think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. I think that as we see with a lot of these guys, the league will, counter. The league will counter. What is the counter back? I think, Skies might start squaring up on that fastball. What is McLean's counter? But if he is just absolutely nasty again, pitching every fifth day for a Mets team that's back in the race, oh yeah, I think he's going to be the front runner for sure.
Yeah, those are all amazing names. I think Weatherholt is another one of those complete prospects, right? That is ready, that has shown he's ready, and that's really elevated his play as he's gotten to the upper level of the minors. We have the Mates, the DeVries of the world, but there's not a great chance that guys like that and others, those just to name a couple, are going to play 140, 150 games in the majors this upcoming year. Weatherholt's right in that wheelhouse. McLean already debuted last year. To go on the other end of the aisle, Trey Savage is someone who, as well, on the AL side, showed enough in his brief stint in Major League Baseball where you're almost able to cheat and go, okay, didn't have enough for it to be considered a full season. This is how this guy handles. But to your point, you said it before, Jacob, the adjustment to the adjustment, how are players going to make those? Those are really important things to note and to analyze in general. I'm noticing it might be on my end. You're dropping out a tiny bit. So I'm just going to try and make a quick fix here. But to anyone listening or watching on the stream at the moment, apologies for the slight technical difficulties. I'm going to try and make a couple of adjustments here and just remove a nearby device. So appreciate you guys battling through that with us. We're going to go quickly to risers, where it's just stock up in general. My first stock up is going to be Braden Montgomery. I'm a firm believer this is one of the most complete prospects in the majors. We're probably not going to see him right away, since Chris Getz said he will start in the minor leagues, but we will see him, I think, relatively soon. Hit a moonshot and a triple against his crosstown rivals in the Chicago Cubs yesterday. for his first home run of the spring. The number 36 prospect in baseball's homer was 108 miles an hour off the bat, and he hit it off of 2024 All-Star Shota Imanaga. One of the more complete prospect talents in the game. Chris Getz did say Montgomery will start 2026 in the minors. We'll see how long the Sox can truly keep him down there without being tempted to give him the ultimate call up to the bigs. My second riser is going to be Elon Athletics. This includes the baseball and the college softball team. Softball pitcher Anna Du twirled a perfect game, and then on the same day, Elon Baseball used 3 different pitchers to toss a combined no-hitter. First time in at least 3 years that a Division I school has pulled off no-hitters by their baseball and softball programs on the same day. I'm shocked it hasn't been longer, more than 3 years since that's happened, but congrats to Elon. That made some headway on social media, and I think that's a really important thing to highlight anytime you can throw not 1, but 2 no-nos in a 24-hour span.
That's remarkable, and goes to show, both programs, of course, we're with baseball as well, looking at college baseball, college sports, college softball, incredible as well, and just fantastic for that program. Perfect game, no hitter too. I mean, just the zeros on the board as well. Yeah, my riser kind of sticking it with the Cardinals. Just talked about JJ Weatherholt as a player to watch for the Rookie of the Year, but how about the St. Louis Cardinals with the discounts as well here, with a $29 ballpark package. Now, this is a steal, and I'm not trying to get too much into the economics of baseball, but you've seen the prices to one of these games, going up on top of the parking, on top of the souvenirs that you've got. You're spending between $100 to $200 for ticket, parking, souvenirs, and more. But St. Louis is doing the good work of the people here. Best move of the off season. Tickets starting at just $29. Now, it is a catch. It is a Coca-Cola like themed section. So there's like only tickets that are in that section, but you can get the ticket, unlimited soda, chicken fingers, French fries, nachos, ice cream, peanuts, hot dogs. There's a whole list of stuff that you can get. Now the catch is as well, you have to like reserve 3 unlimited items. So you have to pick 3 of those items per game. But you can go unlimited quantities throughout the game. It ends after the 8th inning. But still, $29 for a ticket for unlimited food. That is a good deal, especially in these days. Cory, I have a question for you with that. You have a ticket to the Cardinals game. Cardinals Cubs. There we go. Cardinals Cubs. You have a ticket in this section. What are the 3 baseball staple food/drinks that you were putting on there that you're getting, unlimited quantities of? You keep going back and forth in between the innings of.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to buy us a little time and go through this list here and try and find 3. Dang. Jacob, also, I don't know if there's anything you can change on your end. I'm trying to change our internet here. We're just cutting out like every few seconds. So I want to make sure. I don't know if there's anything else you're able to do on your end. I'm trying to change. I took a device off on my end, but I just want to make sure we get your full thoughts in here. It was good until a couple minutes ago. But I'll answer your question here while we figure out a couple technical difficulties. Okay, so St. Louis has soda. I'm choosing between soda, chicken fingers, French fries, nachos. Ice cream's a home run. I'm a huge ice cream fiend, so that's going to be one. Peanuts and hot dogs. I'm going to go ice cream because I have to have it. I have a huge sweet tooth. Chicken fingers, I think that's like pretty dense, pretty protein heavy. I can get the different dipping sauces with it. And then I have to wash it down with some soda. So that's probably my 3. Chicken fingers, soda, and then ice cream. Not in that order because I'm probably going to start off with ice cream. Why don't more teams do this? Like, I don't know what your top dollar is, but I would pay like $50 to have the unlimited luxury of choosing between 3 different items and then just go into town until we hit a certain inning. I don't know why more teams don't do opportunities like this and try and bring people in. I know St. Louis hasn't been playing great baseball as of late. I don't think it's going to matter. I think this idea is going to bring a lot of people in. Yeah, what's the most you'd spend for something like this? I would legitimately put like $50 down to have all the food, drink, and ice cream I want. 50 is my number.
Yeah, I think that would be my number too. I think I don't know. I think it might be. I think I'd even go as high as 60, just because you have like ticket prices right now. Sometimes the low end, you're sitting in the nosebleeds right now is like sometimes $30, $40. So yeah, with the food included, yeah, $60 makes sense. I'd be willing to put like 60. I'd go another 10, but I'm right there with you. It's something that put the money down, and yeah, this is a great idea, and I think feeds into MLB's growing audience. I think affordability is such a huge thing as well, for people to watch the games and to pack the stadiums, whether they're in Sacramento, Las Vegas, St. Louis, or these larger markets as well, and building up these smaller markets. This is a great idea that brings people in on a Wednesday night in the middle of July.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I think we love minor league baseball here. You get to buy in on the prospects low, but you also get to like sit behind home plate for $20 depending on the venue you go to. And affordability, that's just something that you don't have with some of these major league baseball teams where if you want to get anything other than the nosebleeds, you're not going to be able to really save the wallet. You're going to have to fork something over. Remarkable concept here by the Cardinals, and that's coming from someone who cheers for a divisional rival. I think other teams need to poach this, have their own version of it. Is it going to be $29? No, it doesn't have to be. But the idea of bottomless anything, you're going to be a hit in America. If you can provide all you can eat blank, I'm 100% on board with this. I'm not far from St. Louis. Maybe when I'm back home here for an all-star break or something during the season or late phases of the season, I make the 5-hour drive. Now I'm paying more money in gas than for my own ticket, but that's my issue. I think it's a great in-ballpark deal. Average Panda 01 is saying ice cream, chicken fingers, and hot dogs were 2 for $3. I think you got to wash it down with something. But, you can always go outside the unlimited thing and get a drink for a few dollars and get some water or something. So that's a pretty elite trio. What's your 3, Jacob, out of that whole menu of items? What are the 3 items you're picking?
Oh man, yeah. I like the chicken fingers, like the ice cream. I think for me, I mean the baseball staple in me is like hot dogs. Gotta go hot dogs. Give me the hot dog. Give me the. I'm gonna keep it almost like baseball traditional, minus the peanuts. I'm gonna go with hot dogs. I'm gonna go with little helmet ice cream there. Give me that stuff. As you mentioned, go with the helmet ice cream and give me a soda. Give me a soda, pop, wherever you're from, whatever you call it, the pop, the hot dog, the ice cream. The baseball staples, maybe minus the peanuts and the pretzel. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, now I have to know on the East Coast, since I'm going to be over there soon, is it soda or pop over there? What should I be saying? What is the correct pronunciation, or what's the correct name?
It's soda.
It's soda.
It is soda.
Okay.
It is soda.
It's not pop here either. At least I feel like more people here say soda. So I don't know what region is saying pop. Maybe it's like more down south, but it's not the Midwest and it's not the East Coast. So we'll go there. All right. We also have someone asking, what's your choice of soda? I was a big Mountain Dew kid in middle school. It's probably going to be like Sprite now because it's a little less, yeah. I could feel a little better about that. It feels cleaner after you drink a nice crisp Sprite. So, yeah, we got 2 soda votes too. I think the Pops don't have it. Pretzels are an option for this too. Soft pretzels are growing on me. So that might be something I'd have to think about too. Also, good call on the ice cream. I just did it because I like it. I forget you literally get the upside-down baseball cap to keep after that. That's a no-brainer. I'm 100% going with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Got to get the ice cream.
Awesome stuff. All right. Well, that's our risers. Before we get to our fallers, we have a very important announcement and something that a lot of you watching or listening, whether it's live or after we record this, need to hear, frankly. Before we go any further, I want to shout out a company we're huge fans of here at Minor League Minute, and that is JustBats.com. If you or somebody you care about is looking for a bat ahead of the baseball or softball season, I'm talking anything from slow pitch, beer league softball to 8U youth ball. You're finally not hitting it off the tee and coach pitches there, or you're still hitting it off the tee. We don't judge. JustBats.com has the entire variety covered for you. And I personally believe this place beats your typical store just down the corner. Why would I say that? Their team does customized engravings. They've got regrip services, and they can even put on customizable knob stickers to add a little extra pizzazz to your new bat and your new investment, which you'll be very happy you made. This team is full of people who love baseball just like you and I do, and Jacob does, and nothing says owning a new bat like putting that customizable touch on it with Just Bats, and the Just Bats team can help you with that. If you head to the link that we have in the description, you can learn more about JustBats.com today. They've got a blowout clearance tab you can go to if that's more your stick. And then everything's categorized from youth bats to softball bats to baseball bats to different brands. So whatever you're looking for, they're likely going to have something. I don't know. Jacob, you and I have been meeting with the Just Bats team for the last handful of weeks now. Ben is an awesome guy. They're excited to get this going. We are too. And I think Minor League Minute being with a baseball bat company just makes sense. And now's the time to go and get your bats, by the way. It's literally March. So season's coming up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Super excited about this partnership. As you mentioned, Cory, one of my favorite things is to custom engravings on the bat. They do that for you. I mean, for me as a kid, when I was playing, I wanted to have a bat just like the pros. I wanted a glove like Bryce Harper, a bat like Fernando Tatis Jr. They can make that for you with the lizard grips, with the engravings, with your name, with maybe a loved one's name on it, creating that sentimental bond while you play. It's great. So yeah, check them out below. Again, we have the link below to check them out. Super excited about this partnership.
Yeah, they're great at just making it yours. It's one thing to go down the street. If you want to go get a bat, just a bat, fine. But to Jacob's point, the engravings, the stickers, the grips, there's different ways that you can really make it yours. And then all of a sudden your friends are looking at you going, where'd you get that? How do you have your own name engraved right below the barrel near the handle? Oh, I went to justbats.com. So browse variety is a strength of theirs. If you're looking for a certain color, a certain style, a certain weight, drop 3, drop 5, whatever, you're going to have a lot of luck there. And again, yeah, we have the affiliate link in our description below. We'll be shouting them out throughout the month of March and hopefully beyond. It is now time for fallers or stock down. This is me kind of poking fun, but also complimenting the Miami Marlins social media team. Their social media team, genius, first off, had the idea to walk around and ask different Marlins pitchers that if they had 100 chances to hit their pitching, whether it be Sandy or Peter Fairbanks, how many hits would they get? And this poor guy got eviscerated. None, 0, you may not even touch the ball. Those were the answers that he got, and that was the nature of the majority of the players saying, I am on a different level than you. This was hilarious. Peter Fairbanks was probably the most brutal. He just looked the poor guy right in the eyes like he had 5 eyes and said, absolutely not. Like, you're not touching my fastball. It didn't help that Admin has no experience, like didn't play into high school, didn't play in the minors, didn't play in a JUCO or at college or whatever. And once he provided that context, all the players essentially said, you have absolutely no chance. So elite social media marketing. I thought it was hilarious. Ego probably got hurt a little bit. My question for you, Jacob, you're in the box against Paul Skeens. 100 tries. You know what pitch you're getting. He's literally doing the heater, slider, whatever you want, splinker. How many times do you get a hit?
All right. So again, doing the question, because a lot of the players, I saw that video too. A lot is like, oh, what's your baseball experience? And the guy's like, oh, never. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're screwed. Yeah,
it's not happening.
Screwed. I mean, I didn't play for like my high school, there was like almost like it's called a senior league, almost
Hmm.
like circuit, like a just town teams. It's like sponsored teams. So I played up until that point, but that's the extent I stopped. Of course, I'm years removed. So I I don't know. I think I wouldn't put money on my chance to hit. I'd say, maybe by like the 20th throw in, maybe I'll like get some timing down or like hit a little dribble or foul, like actually make contact with it. Yeah, I maybe if I knew the pitch, I'd give it, like 60. Like, are we getting it? We're getting a hit here. Or are we putting it in play? That's what how many times to get a hit? Oh man, I don't know. I wouldn't. Maybe more than admin. Maybe more than never. But certainly not within 50, 60 tries, I would say.
Yeah, it's tough. And then, there's different regulations you can put on it, like Skeens is not allowed to throw over 85. Okay, now maybe we're getting closer to the timing. It's funny you said 20 pitches. I was thinking the exact same thing. I think by pitch 20, I'm finally comfortable with standing in the box. I think the first 20, I'm literally running away. Like, I stopped playing when I was 16, town league, similar fashion. I think the fastest pitching I ever saw was low 70s, and that was humming. 100 is no joke. So it's probably and it's been
Yeah.
like 7 years since I played. So I don't think I'm getting a hit. I think I'll make contact. I think I'll put like 4 in play. I'll give myself 4 if I know the pitch. 4 in play out of 100, or at least like tipping it foul or just making contact. A hit is, you got to have decent exit velo on it, even if it's a bloop into the outfield. Like, you timed the ball up. I would need months of training by a professional that does not let me out of their sight until I'm in a good spot. So, yeah, I thought that was a fun trend, though. Like, the average human being is probably not going to have a snowball's chance in hell. And you know that because even some of the best baseball players on earth are hitting like 190 in the major leagues, or they never make it to the majors. And now we're talking about the best of the best against you and I or Marlins admin. It's not going to go very well. Yeah, I'll give myself three foul tips.
Yeah, and I think it was the Tigers who did that as well. Like they walked around in the locker room too, with like Torkelson, Riley Green was commenting on that as well. So yeah, a fun trend and something that it just reminds me of is the Brian Scalabrine quote. Well, I think Sam might have even brought it up on this show where it's like, the YMC ball, that NBA player, the G League player that goes there and has like 60 points or whatever. It's like that different level of the pros than your, V League softball, a YMCA game that you're playing. Is just miles ahead. And just a shout out goes to all professional athletes at the top of their game. Just, yeah, a different breed as a whole. So yeah, love those videos. For me, a faller is almost a throwback to my first video with minor league minute. It was a fun kind of moment thinking about it. But Drew Hackenberg, not to put it in a faller, first video, of course, it was him and his brother Adam doing a little brother battery video, which was fun to make. But Drew, the past year hasn't been too kind to him. The recent top 30 players in the divisions have come out for each of these teams, the Braves being one of them in the NL and AL East came out today. And Drew Hackenberg was listed as the number 16 player in the Braves system. He was as high as number 5 at the beginning of last season. Last year, missed some games due to an oblique injury, started 21 games between rookie ball and Double-A Columbus with the Clingstones. It just really never found his groove. He touched into Triple-A by the end of 2024 and had a sub 1.5 ERA. But last season, 2.9, a 6.99 ERA. So you're battling injuries, just that the stuff was not there. Still coming back from the injury. So yeah, it's we talked about the Braves way back doing the farm features of injuries, ravaged their starting pitchers last season. It also had an impact on their farm system, some shuffling going on not only with the Braves, but these other teams in the latest rankings. Hackenberg being one of those guys that, that injury, we talk about injuries and guys bouncing back. Again, Veen with his situation, a separate situation earlier, but, Hackenberg hoping that he can bounce back this year, get that confidence back, start strong. But yeah, it's been a rough last year for the Braves right-hander.
Oblique is a tough one too. I think a lot of pitchers bouncing back from injuries. You're thinking Tommy John, where it is a focused issue. It's in the same spot. A lot of research has been dedicated to it the last handful of years, and that's not to say that hasn't happened for oblique injuries. I just don't think it's getting as much headlines. That's your torque. That's your ability to turn and generate power, and that's something that he essentially had to relearn once he came back. And if he had to make any type of mechanical adjustment to make sure he didn't re-aggravate this, now you're basically going under a new pitching motion. Like maybe it's a higher release point, maybe it's more emphasis on the shoulder, the lower body. And if you're doing something a certain way for 10, 15, 20 years for some of these guys as they get older, and you have to even slightly relearn how to do said act, I think that could be coming into play here. It could be a confidence thing, or it could be, we brought up the average Joe going up against professional baseball players, that the sport is just extremely hard. So hopefully the relapse is followed up by a bounce back, and as he gets healthier and more confident and further removed from the procedures, he's in a good spot there. Our next segment is going to be fair or foul, exactly how it sounds. Do you agree with what's going on? Are you against it? And I'll kick us off with college pitcher tosses 130 pitches in an upset victory. We're talking about UTA defeating the number 6 Arkansas Razorbacks 4-3 in a recent game. UTA pitcher Kalen Dygert threw 130 pitches in the upset win. And the comments on a lot of these posts related to the great upset performance are saying this was irresponsible. So I ask you, Jacob, before I give my own take, in February and in a day and age where pitch counts and Tommy John and making sure that you preserve the elbow for the long term are hot button topics, is throwing 130 pitches to pull off the upset win and one that's going to make a great memory, is that fair or foul?
That's a great question, and that's a tough situation. I'm gonna say foul, not only with Cory's genes, as we discussed earlier, running in genes, but throwing 130 pitches in a game in February. Double foul for me today on this segment, on these questions, primarily based on the time of the season. I think you mentioned that it's February, and baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. And I especially get the conversation we had just a few weeks ago when we were talking about we were talking about some of these programs that get the opportunity to play these high-level ranked teams, these ranked teams early on. So you want to get those wins. You want to get that one game out of the 3-game series, like UT Arlington did in this victory over Arkansas. But gotta look at the overall health of these guys, and most important, the player. Most important for a guy like Dygert, who has an opportunity to be drafted, had a very good year last year as well, around a 4 ERA, but was really the ace of this staff. So I will add a caveat there, looking deeper into Dygert's starts, not only this year, but last year. He threw 100 pitches in 4 innings, his previous start against Lamar 7 days ago. So essentially a week from the day he threw 100 pitches before, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts in that game. So then he also had 7 games listed on the Athletic website he pitched last year of over 100, including 128 pitches in the final outing of his season last year. There's also 4 games, mind you, that there's not even a pitch count listed. So it could be 7+ games last season. So I think that also needs to be taken into account when people are like, oh, what are they? This is irresponsible. Yes, I understand. I'm on that side. I think that should be the focal point. But also sometimes it's the individual player. I mean, this guy, I guess, Diger, maybe he has a rubber arm or something. Look into it. Get the scientists at UT Arlington looking into this guy's arm with these multiple 100 pitch outings. I know it is, within 7 days, so there is that rest and recover. But I'm all for letting guys go, letting guys eat. Not exactly like Dygert is over here throwing no hitters or it's 0 runs. A lot of those games, especially last year, of course, he allowed 2 runs, no earned in this specific game against Arkansas. But, I'm all for it. This guy has a no hitter going into the 7th inning. He's at 90 pitches. Let him keep going. If it's like a 4-3 game, he's allowed a few runs. There's some hits involved. Yeah, we'll take it from here. Trust the bullpen. Trust your guys to come in and finish the work. Get the ice on the shoulder and go from there. So I think foul primarily because of the situation. Maybe if it's a conference tournament late in the season, a lot on the line, they're pitching for a chance to go to the regional or move forward, advance in the championships or the conference tournament, then I'd lean, okay, give the body a horse, get this game won. In February, I know it's against a ranked team. I don't know. It's a good debate.
Yeah, I think it's barely foul. I am with you, and mostly for the same reason. If you're in a win or go home game 3 in a regional for the College World Series, and this is to extend your season, I think the player is always going to want to go out there, and I think Dygert probably wanted to stay out there. It's not like he's doing this against his will. The player always wants to push themselves past a certain point. The ranked win is really fun. But especially considering this is a draft prospect, what happens if, and great research on the fact that he's been a high volume guy for a while now, what happens if 129 is the one that broke him and all of a sudden his draft stock tanks and someone who could have been making, just throwing a value out there, $1.2 million is now making $150,000 because a team knows that they're inheriting someone who has to reset, get Tommy John surgery, and go over possibly a year-plus recovery period. The fact that he has that track record, though, put him in a lab. I figure out what's going on. I think a lot of teams would love someone who's physically able to throw that volume, not lose effectiveness. He had 11 strikeouts in this 4-3 upset over number 6 Arkansas. Figure out what makes him tick and what the makeup of that elbow is, because I'm sure a lot of teams would absolutely love to have that. But I'm with you. I'm slightly foul here because it was like late February. There's a long season to go.
Yeah, and I mean also like you mentioned, I think we look at Tommy John surgery, and that's really a big thing with a lot of guys. It's all about velocity. It's all about. It's not really about pitch count anymore. A lot, it's not seeing complete games as much anymore. So, yeah, I think that's the point. The pitch count. That's when we're starting to get you throwing that repetitive motion a lot. So that's why, again, the leaning foul. But it just goes to show how the game has progressed. If we're talking about the same situation a century ago, we're like, oh, that's normal. That's normal. That's no kidding. There's 4 guys on the staff. But yeah, when you have more level guys, you gotta protect these players.
Yeah, and they're not throwing 75 anymore, right? Like they are heaving it in there. Even low 90s is now considered below average velocity in the pros and college. It's about closer to average. But that's a new segment we're doing, Fair or Foul. If you have any topics you want us to go over, go to any of our social media pages, go into our live chat, and we can also toss those up for Fair or Foul. Would love to get your interaction on those. And in our Embrace Debate episode, we wrap up with what's going to be one of the greatest debates, I think, of 2026, and it's happening everywhere. Roch Cholowsky or Justin LeBron. There are different contingencies of White Sox fans that are saying, I absolutely want Justin LeBron. We would be dumb to not go his way. And there are others going, Roch Cholowsky's the home run pick. It's not even close. We each are picking a side here, and we each picked a different side. I'll kick us off. with Roch Cholowsky, who's ranked as the #1 college prospect right now and #1 draft prospect here as we sit on March 2nd of 2026. Before I actually say anything about Roch, his teammate is catching a ton of online traction and is also possibly going to be a first rounder coming up. Will Gasparino, this is for all you parents out there who, and I haven't had a kid yet, so maybe I'll be one of them, are complaining that your kid's hitting low in the lineup but has a good batting average. Will Gasparino is the 8 hitter for the Bruins, despite having 10 home runs, 11 games. His slugging percentage is .1270. That is higher than most people's OPS, on base plus slugging. Strictly his slugging percentage is north of 1,000, about 20% into this college baseball season. I have no clue what this kid eats for breakfast, but I'd like some, right? Like, that is, his OPS is over 1,700. This is otherworldly. And then let's talk about his teammate, who's supposed to be the #1 overall pick after they just beat the #1 ranked team in Mississippi State, and Roch Cholowsky. My argument here is he's the complete package. He's got a little more thump than LeBron. He has more home runs than strikeouts. His thought process before a game-tying 2-run homer against Mississippi State, I just saw it in a post-game interview, is unbelievably advanced for his age, even though he's in year 3 of college. And with the whole country watching him, it's kind of similar to the Connor Griffin aspect. It feels like as the pressure ramps up and more people pay attention, he just gets better, which is a great characteristic to have if you want to play for a Major League Baseball team and play in significant games and go compete for a world championship or for College World Series this year. Roch is polished. He'll be a 3-year college player after this. His range at shortstop's unbelievable. There's plenty of combine tape on him out there, throwing across his body, making otherworldly throws. It's really rare to find someone, and a lot of this applies to LeBron too, who can cover ground, generate power, stay disciplined, and just be as well-rounded as Roch. But here we are. I'm a huge Justin LeBron fan. I'm going Roch just because I think he has a slight advantage in the power department. And in non-conference play, he's been going up against, I think, tougher pitching. When we get to conference play, the SEC is pretty dang tough, and I think the Big Ten takes a back seat to them. So we'll see how these numbers kind of evolve as the season goes on.
Cory, you led me right into my point with Justin LeBron. Justin LeBron, are we going to pick someone #1 overall that's last name or first name is not LeBron? Come on now. No, I think both of these guys, incredible prospects. Looking at Justin LeBron, I'm just going to start with that point you brought up, Cory, about the SEC, the Big Ten. I think, of course, you look at Roch's numbers. His play last year made it farther with the UCLA compared to Alabama, who fell out in the regionals with their squad. But let's call a spade a spade. The SEC is a better baseball conference than the Big Ten. And while Roch Cholowsky had better numbers looking across the board in terms of what he was able to, it's not too far apart. And LeBron was in the SEC doing a lot of that damage against the LSUs, the Auburns, the Georgias of the world through that. So this is another guy who knows how to elevate his game in the biggest game. Last season, he was the headliner for most of the season. Roch kind of really took over with a late season surge with his home runs, with his RBIs. Looking at LeBron at .316 average, 60 runs, 18 home runs, 72 RBIs, which was 26th in D1. Roch had a few more at 74, but LeBron, going back to the SEC, he was second in the SEC for a conference that had 4 hitters that were picked in the first round of the 2025 draft. So out of those guys, he was second in the entire conference. So a guy that at the top of the lineup is driving in runs as well. And when the lineup resets, he's putting the ball in play. He's driving guys in. I think looking well-rounded as well, looking at the grades as well for MLB.com. The speed is there for LeBron. I think doesn't get enough credit for it with the steals at 17 last year, 10 the year before. He does have that speed that really helps his defense and can turn doubles into triples, singles into doubles, lacing it into the gap. Biggest concern for him, for me, is the chase. But the chase in the zone, but I think when the ball is in the middle of the zone, he is going to mash. He's going to put the ball in play. So I like a guy who's going to take chances. Even if he's going to chase, I know that's in his game, but the guy that's going to take chances, and if he's going to swing, maybe a little flare out to right, taking the ball the opposite field for LeBron. Looking at his awards this season, Golden Spikes preseason watch list, preseason first team All SEC, perfect game USA preseason All first team. I mean, look, it really comes down to what do the White Sox prefer. And you talk about the different contingents. I think if it will be Cholowsky, that's I think what I'm leaning. That's what I think the White Sox might be leaning to as well. I think it's a debate too. Cholowsky might be a little bit more MLB ready, but both guys are big name guys. I think this is 1 and 2, just from my point of view. But looking at it, a team like Tampa Bay sitting there at number 2, the Rays with what they have with Carson Williams, you can get a guy like LeBron and develop him short, second. We've talked with all these great shortstop prospects, what you can do with them with second, with third, if he continues to develop that power. Or the Minnesota Twins, what Sam broke down with them a few weeks ago with their outfielders they have. You add a guy like LeBron at number 3, if he falls that far, to be the next cornerstone infielder of this group. So yeah, I think very similar. I'm taking Justin LeBron though, with the confidence, with what he puts together out on the diamond. I think he's a complete player. So yeah, I'm thinking LeBron, but these guys, I think it's very easy to say they will be 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft for sure.
And I don't think you can go wrong this year, right? Whether you are the White Sox or the Rays or the Twins, Drew Burress is going to be up there. He could fill out that top 3 as well, another complete prospect who's been making headlines. If Roch's teammate, who's hitting 8th, continues to do what he's doing, maybe he'll stomp in on the party and add his name up there too, right? As his sample size increases. Kind of provide a rebuttal for my pick in Roch and in favor of what you said, Jacob, in terms of LeBron maybe being the better selection. These guys are putting down their drop 3 BB core bats and picking up wood bats. Roch has the power advantage on LeBron, so it's a little interesting, I think, to always see how much does that translate, that power. Is LeBron going to be better with the wood bat over his shoulder? You're going to see these guys, their 425-foot homers might turn into 385-foot warning track shots. How do they adjust? How do they generate line drives? Not cut under the ball so much. Whereas Justin LeBron's clear advantage over Roch Cholowsky, above all else, is his speed. He's got more stolen bags. That number is ramping up. Well, that does translate. It doesn't matter what bats you're using, right? If you can steal, if you can get a read on a pitcher's cadence and get a good secondary lead and jump, then you can steal. Now it's just down to the level of pitching that you're going up against. And Justin LeBron's going up against the best crop of pitchers in college baseball in the SEC, a la Paul Skeens is from there, among others, right? So, and you could go down the line. So I think watching Roch Cholowsky's power and how his intangibles line up when he's ultimately in low A, high double A, there might be a bit more of a learning curve, or at least there's an argument that there may be a bit more of a learning curve against that type of pitching than there is for LeBron. If you put Roch Cholowsky in the SEC, does he have more strikeout issues, more attuned to that of Justin LeBron? We don't know that. But I think putting these guys from their conferences into low A, high double A, there's a decent argument that Justin LeBron, because of his skill makeup and because of the conference he's in, the learning curve's not as steep as maybe it would be for Roch Cholowsky in a conference in the Big Ten that, let's again call a spade, is not as known for baseball as the SEC is. So it's a fascinating argument, and I think if you're the Rays, you're fine with whoever falls to you. Like, you want to give us a speedy guy in Justin LeBron to add to a crop that just had Chandler Simpson graduate? Fine. You want to give us one of the most powerful prospects we've seen in the last handful of years? We're kind of lacking that in certain regards. I know Junior Caminero just came up and provided some thump. fine. Like, they're not going to begrudgingly agree to either of those two, assuming they hold the 2 spot. But these two are going to chase each other to the end. I believe Roch Cholowsky hit his 7th home run, and then 15 real-time minutes later, Justin LeBron hit his 7th home run this year. So these two are quite literally sprinting to that number 1 spot, and it's just a matter of who gets there first.
Yeah, for sure, and super exciting. And also, just looking at the MLB draft board, a little side note, we've talked so much about the shortstop crop already right now in minor league baseball. The top 4 guys on MLB.com on the draft board are all shortstops as well, just continuing to add and stack the MLIB shortstop, class that's just building. It's just going to be all shortstops, ladies and gentlemen. That's the top 100. It's just all shortstops. That's what's going to be.
It's unreal. I was just listening to Baseball Tonight, great podcast with Buster Olney, and last week's episode, they mentioned that OPS, among other power metrics, was actually higher last year for shortstops than third basemen. That is how valuable and how talented, and that's just not something you expect. When you think of baseball players, you think your power is coming from your corner infielders, guys who are lower to the ground, a little more stocky, a little more muscular, and then your speedy, more nimble options are in the middle infield. They're the ones turning too. They need to be rangier. And all of a sudden, shortstop has turned into easily, maybe outside of an ace like a Paul Skeens or a Yamamoto, the most valuable position in the bigs, in the prospect class coming up. And to your point, Jacob, now in the prep and college class, they're all shortstops. They're all guys that not only play that position at a very high level, not only are huge threats at the plate, but if you have an 18-year-old shortstop, you have just about any position you want. You can morph those guys anywhere. The combination of arm strength, speed, versatility, glove work, all of it, the range, that can apply to center field. That can apply to second base. You're on the other end of it. That can apply almost anywhere. And so that's very good news for the future of the game, that you have a lot of different versatile prospects coming up. But Cholowsky or LeBron, let us know in the live chat. Let us know across our various social media channels, which we have plugged below. That is going to be one of the biggest debates, I think, of 2026. And we're not going to get our answer for another 4.5 months. But I'm excited for the rest of the college baseball season. It feels like this has more juice than the last few years. Like, Paul Skeens got a lot of college hype. These two, Roch Cholowsky and Justin LeBron, they're getting a lot of mentions in March. And that's really a good sign for the future of the game, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think it goes not only to the MLB draft, but we've seen other drafts when you have that kind of 1-2 punch at the top. It really brings apart debates. I think it also pushes the guys, even of course, maybe they don't want to listen to it. They're kind of focused on their own game. When you kind of see those highlights after the game, you're in the locker room and you see, oh, this other guy, Justin LeBron, or this other guy, Roch Cholowsky, is continuing. Who's this guy? He thinks he's better than me. That kind of, just like human nature, I think, will bring out the best in them. It'll, again, continue the debates. Love to see how they finish. Of course, not only mention conference play, but I think also, again, just to continue, still on the LeBron, but the better team. I mean, you just discussed the UCLA team. The number 9 guy has over 1,000 slugging. Isn't exactly the same with Alabama. They were picked 12th in that very tight SEC. So, I mean, it could be a situation where, again, it's Cholowsky who's playing more games at the end of the season, and that's what essentially earns him the number 1 spot. The number 1 team gets the Super Regional, gets the College World Series, and who knows? But, that could also be a case where it's a great team versus a good team, and, we'll see how it plays out.
Right, like Roch or Justin LeBron playing, more likely Roch at this point with how UCLA looks, in the College World Series final. It's not just because of him. Like, it's a huge team game. You need the bullpen to hold up. You need the starting rotation to hold it down. You need the players around Justin LeBron to get on base. So it's going to be a fascinating argument and just storyline to follow. It feels like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Like, they're going 1-2. Mm-hmm. You just don't know the order yet. But you're going to watch every game from now until the draft to figure it out for yourself, who you'd rather have over the other. And again, I don't think there's a A wrong answer here, frankly. We'll see if someone else invades. There's still plenty of time for someone else to jump these two, but going to be a pretty tall task. That's going to do it for episode 13 of Minor League Weekly. He's Jacob Smedley. I'm Cory Sparks. We will catch you next Monday. As it's March, it is the month of the regular season starting for minor league and Major League Baseball. We're super excited about it. We will catch you next week right here on Minor League Weekly. Every story starts somewhere, and in baseball, that somewhere is the minors. The breakout stars.
Early on in day 3 of the draft, the Pirates called.
The wild moments and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of the game.